Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Bold and beautiful today. Catch her. She's a scammer. Grace flees after Finn uncovers her scheme. Does Liam's back alley brain surgery cause a significant shift in his personality? Liam Spencer is recovering from a gunshot wound to his chest and the removal of a fictitious brain tumor. None of this makes sense, and he is recuperating at Bill Spencer's house. So why not give Liam a new personality to go along with it, making this scenario even more strange and soap operatic? Regardless of whether Grace Buckingham performed actual or experimental brain surgery, Liam was put under anesthesia following a recent procedure. Regardless of who he wakes up as, he is not in a fit state to be at home. Bill Spencer assumes leadership once more. Did Grace pretend to do cutting-edge surgery, or did she really do it? In any case, she is as dubious as an ancient oak tree, and we believe that Liam's mental health may suffer as a result of her treatment of him. Unaware that there was nothing wrong with Liam in the first place, Bill thinks that his money can fix him. Although Grace acknowledged that Liam would stay unconscious for a while, she made careful to mention that she most likely saved Liam's life. How practical. Will Liam be a different man when he wakes up? When Steffi Forrester and Hope Logan learned about Liam, they lost it in the July 17th episode. Will he still be the man they recall as their girl's father? Or will lovely Liam suffer as a result of Grace's chopstick surgery? Have you ever thought about how odd it is that Bill, who is vicious, has 3 adorable sons? How did that occur? Bill's DNA is undoubtedly present in one or more of them. Perhaps Liam is fortunate to be a descendant of the old stallion due to his experiences. Liam Spencer's recuperation from brain surgery. Do you want Liam to become vicious and evil, B&B fans? Would that be more consistent with being the son of Bill? We believe it would make for a compelling and exciting plot surprise. We can envision Liam pursuing his goals in a Bill-like manner, not taking no for an answer, but this is just conjecture at this moment. He made the decision to undermine Carter Walton in order to get Hope back. He may also split up Steffi's lovely family with Finn Finnegan if he wants her. In the next days, what do you hope to see from Liam? Bill Spencer's palatial estate hangs thick, not just with the sterile scent of antiseptic and the faint metallic tang of recent trauma, but with the suffocating weight of the utterly inexplicable. Liam Spencer, a man who has weathered more romantic hurricanes and familial betrayals than most lifetimes could contain, lies broken, a recent gunshot wound to the chest, a terrifyingly fresh surgical incision on his skull where the phantom tumor wasn't, and a consciousness submerged in the murky depths of anesthesia and profound physical shock. His recovery, under the dubious stewardship of his father and the enigmatic, shadow-draped figure of Grace Buckingham, feels less like convalescence and more like the precarious intermission before a psychological detonation. For amidst the bewildering chaos, the fake diagnosis, the real bullet, the clandestine procedure in an environment utterly lacking in medical credibility, whispers a tantalizingly soapy, deliciously dangerous question: what if Liam doesn't wake up as Liam at all? What if the crucible of pain, betrayal, and Grace's ambiguous scalpel, or perhaps, chillingly, her improvised instruments, has cracked open his psyche, allowing something darker, something fundamentally Spencer, to finally claw its way to the surface? This isn't merely about physical healing, it's a high-stakes gamble with the very essence of the man Steffi and Hope know, a gamble orchestrated in a back alley of deceit that could yield the ultimate soap opera twist, the birth of a ruthless Liam, a true heir to Bill's cutthroat legacy. Consider the volatile cocktail simmering within Liam's battered body and mind. He entered this nightmare believing he was dying from a brain tumor, a psychological torture that would fray the strongest nerves. Then came the visceral shock of being shot, a near-death experience that rewires primal instincts. Layer onto this the profound betrayal. The tumor was a cruel fabrication, a manipulation that rendered his fear and suffering utterly meaningless. His trust, already a fragile thing, lies in tatters. Now, add the final, potentially most volatile ingredient. Grace Buckingham's intervention. Was it legitimate, albeit experimental, and ethically questionable neurosurgery performed under extreme duress? Or was it a macabre pantomime, a desperate cover-up using anesthesia and bandages to mask the real damage inflicted elsewhere? Grace, shrouded in motives as opaque as old varnish and possessing a moral compass that spins wildly, is the wild card. Her declaration that she likely saved Liam's life rings with convenient heroism, yet her presence in this sordid affair drips with opportunism and subterfuge. The brain, especially one subjected to such unprecedented stress, the fake death sentence, the physical trauma of the gunshot, the physiological insult of emergency surgery under dubious conditions, the powerful anesthetics, is not inert clay. It's a complex, delicate ecosystem. Even intended medical procedures can have profound, unintended neurological consequences, personality shifts, emotional blunting, disinhibition, impulsivity. But what if Grace's actions, whether through genuine but reckless experimentation or through sheer, dangerous incompetence, crossed a neural Rubicon? The potential for organic personality change isn't just plausible in this heightened reality, it's a narrative powder keg waiting for a spark. This leads us to the Spencer family's enduring paradox, a question that has hovered over the brothers like storm clouds. How did the ruthless, power-obsessed stallion, Bill Spencer, sire 3 sons seemingly so devoid of his predatory edge? Wyatt has his charm and occasional lapses, but retains a core of loyalty. Will is largely untouched. And Liam? Sweet Liam. The waffler. The eternal seeker of the moral high ground, often paralyzed by his own conscience, perpetually torn between love and duty, hope and Steffi. He's been the emotional counterpoint to Bill's cold ambition, the proof that nature can, sometimes, defy nurture. Yet, the question nags, is his inherent sweetness merely a dominant trait waiting to be overwhelmed by a dormant Spencer gene, a genetic sleeper cell activated by extreme trauma and neurological interference? Bill, blinded by his own wealth and ego, believes his money and resources are the panacea, utterly unaware that the original diagnosis was a sham. He sees a broken son to fix, not realizing the foundation might be fundamentally altered. His forceful taking charge, his belief in Spencer power as the ultimate solution, creates the perfect pressure cooker. If Liam's neural pathways have been rerouted either by Grace's hand or the cumulative trauma, Bill's environment, steeped in power, entitlement, and a take-what-you-want philosophy, becomes the incubator for a terrifying new persona. The sweetness could be cauterized, leaving behind the raw, unvarnished Spencer drive. The ordeal Liam endured, the betrayal, the helplessness, the brush with death, could be the catalyst that shatters his empathetic constraints, replacing doubt with decisive, potentially cruel, action. Imagine the seismic shockwaves rippling through Los Angeles when Liam finally opens his eyes. Steffi and Hope's frantic confrontation upon learning his fate was merely the prelude. The real drama begins at his bedside. Will they encounter the familiar, gentle, conflicted Liam, perhaps weakened but fundamentally recognizable? Or will they meet a stranger gazing out through Liam's eyes? A Liam whose gaze holds Bill's calculating chill, whose voice carries a newfound edge of command or chilling detachment. The implications are deliciously destructive. A dark Liam unshackled from his former moral hesitations and fueled by a Spencer-esque hunger for control and retribution, would be a dynamic, game-changing force. He could perceive his past waffling not as integrity but as weakness, a flaw to be excised. His near-death experience might forge a belief that life is too short for hesitation, that what he desires must be taken, consequences be damned. The targets for this potential ruthlessness are clear and fraught with explosive drama. His fixation could laser in on Hope. The sight of her moving on with Carter Walton, finding stability and happiness without him, could ignite a possessive fury previously foreign to him. The sweet Liam might have pined, the transformed Liam could wage war. Imagine him deploying Bill-like tactics, corporate sabotage at Spencer Publications to undermine Carter's position, ruthless manipulation of Forrester Creations' business dealings affecting Hope's line, whispered poison in Hope's ear designed to erode her trust in Carter, or even a coldly calculated seduction aimed not at winning her heart back through love, but at claiming her as his rightful possession. He could see Carter not as a rival, but as an obstacle to be removed with Spencer efficiency. Alternatively, the allure of Steffi, the mother of his first child and a connection forged in intense, complex history, could resurface with volcanic force. Witnessing her seemingly perfect life with Finn and Hayes could morph from bittersweet acceptance into a burning need to possess her, to shatter that happiness. A dark Liam wouldn't gently woo, he could systematically dismantle Shin. planting seeds of doubt about Finn's past or his capabilities as a husband and father, exploiting Finn's own vulnerabilities or past mistakes, creating situations forcing Steffi to choose between her peaceful present and the chaotic, passionate history Liam represents, or manufacturing a crisis only he can solve, positioning himself as her necessary protector. He could target Finn's career, his reputation, or even his bond with Hayes, viewing the Doctor not as Steffi's loving partner, but as the barrier between Liam and what he now believes is his. The potential extends beyond just romantic entanglements. A ruthless Liam could fundamentally reshape the Spencer family dynamic. He might finally embrace Bill's world not reluctantly, but with ferocious ambition, becoming a genuine rival or a terrifyingly effective ally in his father's cutthroat games. His relationship with Wyatt could fracture under the strain of this new, aggressive persona. His approach to co-parenting Kelly and Beth could become domineering, using the children as leverage in his battles with Steffi and Hope. The compassionate core that defined him, the trait that made him a touchstone for viewers despite his flaws, could vanish, replaced by a chilling pragmatism. Would this be compelling? Absolutely. It's a classic soap trope executed with fresh potential, the hero's dark turn. It promises high-stakes conflict, shocking betrayals, moral ambiguity, and a complete reinvention of a core character. It forces every character around him, Steffi, Hope, Bill, Wyatt, Finn, Carter, even Brooke and Ridge, to recalibrate their entire understanding of who Liam Spencer is and the threat, or disturbing allure, he now poses. The waffling would cease, replaced by dangerous certainty. The moral compass would shatter, leaving only the Spencer drive. The gentle lover would be gone, potentially replaced by a formidable, potentially terrifying, force of nature sculpted in the fires of betrayal, a bullet, and the ambiguous touch of Grace Buckingham's scalpel in Bill Spencer's gilded cage. The alley might be behind them, but the real surgery, the one on Liam's soul, might just be beginning, and its results promise not recovery, but revolution. Will's discovery, Liam's MRI, and Taylor and Brooke's reunion. A large reunion greets Liam Spencer as he awakens. Will Spencer gets an intimate look from Katie Logan. In addition, Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes agree. For Liam Spencer, the reunion. Liam is being cared for by the nurse at Bill Spencer's house. Bill says they're going to have company soon after they hang off the phone. John Finn Finnegan, Steffi Forrester Finnegan, and Hope Logan arrive with the intention of seeing Liam. Bill clarifies that there was not enough time to talk to them about it. He did what Grace Buckingham said they had to do right now. Bill explains that because of all the red tape in the US, everything had to be done in secret. They are still awaiting a final MRI, but they believe they have removed the entire tumor. Finn wants to read up on the stats and the process. None of that belongs to Bill. Grace sent a text message. According to the most recent MRI, the entire tumor has disappeared. Liam is overcome with emotion as Finn refers to it as a miracle. United Taylor Hayes. Ridge Forrester and Taylor Forrester at Forrester Creations. When Brooke walks in, she inquires about their well-being. How is Steffi doing? The blonde queries. Ridge said Luna Nozawa won't ever be an issue again. Despite their gratitude, they all think Liam is dying. Taylor wants to know if the trip to Italy should be cancelled. When Liam dies, Brooke worries that they will be abroad. While advising against delaying the vacation, Ridge pledges to act in the family's best interests. According to Taylor, it's critical that they come together to support Steffi and Hope in supporting Kelly and Beth Spencer. Brooke is completely in agreement. Will Spencer's finding. Electra Forrester yells at Will about crazy Luna in a different office. When Katie shows up, she informs them that although Liam survived the bullet, he will still die. Will becomes upset when he considers his brother's passing. Wood is adamant that they would try anything. Electra tries to comfort Will as he begins to cry in front of his mother. Everyone is celebrating this medical miracle, so let's get back to Liam. But might there be post-event adverse effects or other issues? Everyone is happy that Liam will live after all, but Hope, Steffi, and Finn still appear perplexed. Bill Spencer's penthouse, usually a stage for power plays and simmering resentments, crackled with an entirely different energy, the fragile, desperate electricity of hope held by a thread. Sunlight streamed through the panoramic windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air, indifferent to the human drama unfolding within. Liam Spencer lay propped against plush pillows, his face pale but startlingly alert, a stark contrast to the spectral figure he'd been mere days ago. A discreet nurse adjusted in 4-line, her movements efficient and quiet, a silent counterpoint to the emotional tempest brewing. Bill, phone clutched like a talisman, ended a call, his usual granite demeanor fissured by visible strain. "They're on their way up," he announced, his voice rougher than usual, the weight of decisions made in shadowed corridors heavy upon him. He hadn't summoned them for a vigil, he'd summoned them for a revelation, the magnitude of which he was still processing. The elevator chime sliced through the tension like a knife. The doors slid open, and there they stood, Hope Logan, her eyes wide with a fear she could barely contain, Steffi Forrester Finnegan, radiating protective fierceness even in her exhaustion, and Dr. John Finn Finnegan, his medical instincts already scanning Liam, searching for clues beyond the visible. Their collective gasp was almost audible, a shared inhalation of shock and disbelief at seeing Liam conscious, present, alive in a way they hadn't dared imagine. Before the questions could erupt, Bill held up a hand, a gesture demanding silence he rarely needed to employ. "I know," he began, the words measured, rehearsed, yet still raw. "I know you have questions, anger, confusion. There wasn't time for consultation, for debate. Grace Buckingham," she called, said it was now or never, that the window was slamming shut against the red tape strangling every option here. He paced, a caged predator momentarily unsure of its next move. "This procedure, it's new, barely out of trials overseas. The bureaucracy stateside? Impenetrable. Waiting meant." He trailed off, unable to voice the unthinkable conclusion they'd all been bracing for. His gaze locked onto Liam, a fierce protectiveness burning there. It had to be secret. No leaks, no delays. They went in, they think they got it all, but... He paused, the air thickening with the dread of that single syllable. "We're waiting. One final MRI. Confirmation." Finn, stepping forward, the doctor overriding the son-in-law, the brother-in-law, demanded specifics, literature, protocols, survival rates, the cold, hard data that underpinned miracles. Bill shook his head, frustration warring with a dawning, almost disbelieving relief. "I don't have charts, Finn. I have grace. And faith." As if summoned by the very word, Bill's phone buzzed, a stark vibration in the heavy silence. He glanced down, his breath catching. A text. From Grace. He read it once, twice, his knuckles whitening around the device. When he looked up, the impossible had happened, the formidable Bill Spencer's eyes shimmered. "The MRI," he choked out, his voice thick. "It's clear. They got it. All of it. It's gone." The words hung, shimmering, almost unreal. Finn's medical skepticism battled sheer astonishment. "That's statistically improbable given the last scans." "A miracle," he breathed, the clinical term imbued with profound awe. "And Liam?" A sob ripped from his chest, raw and unfiltered, tears streaming down his face as the crushing weight of imminent death lifted, replaced by the staggering, terrifying, glorious lightness of a future suddenly reclaimed. He reached out blindly, his hands finding Hope's and Steffi's, their fingers intertwining in a knot of shared, overwhelming gratitude, a silent testament to the complex, enduring bonds that tragedy reforges. Miles away, amidst the gleaming chrome and whispered creativity of Forrester Creations, a different kind of seismic shift was occurring, born not of medical intervention but of shared maternal anguish. Taylor Hayes, her psychiatrist's composure fraying at the edges by the relentless emotional assault on her family, stood near Ridge Forrester's imposing desk. The air between them hummed with the unresolved tension of decades, momentarily subdued by the greater crisis. They spoke of Steffi, of the unbearable burden she carried, watching Liam fade while holding her own family together. Brooke Logan's entrance was hesitant, a specter at the feast of their private grief. Her question, "How are you doing?" directed at both but landing primarily on Ridge, felt inadequate against the tidal wave of sorrow. Taylor, however, didn't bristle as she once might have. The blonde matriarch's focus was laser-sharp, her daughter's heartbreak. Ridge, ever the patriarch attempting to exert control over the uncontrollable, declared Luna Nozawa a non-issue, a minor distraction swept aside, his gratitude for Liam's past heroism starkly contrasted by his absolute certainty of the young man's impending death. The conversation turned to the planned trip to Italy, a Forrester business expansion suddenly grotesquely ill-timed. Brooke's voice trembled, "If we're gone, when it happens. Steffi and Hope, the children." The image of being continents away when Liam took his last breath was unbearable. Ridge, pragmatic to a fault, argued against postponement, the weight of corporate responsibility pressing down, yet the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes betrayed him as he mumbled about doing what's right for the family, a phrase heavy with unspoken conflict. It was Taylor who bridged the chasm. Turning to Brooke, her gaze direct, devoid of its usual competitive fire, she said, "What matters now, truly matters, is that Steffi and Hope have everything they need to be there for Kelly and Beth. To help them through this unimaginable loss. They need us. United." The word hung in the air, charged with history. Brooke, after a heartbeat that spanned years of rivalry, betrayal, and reconciliation, met Taylor's eyes. The shared fear for their daughters, the shared love for their granddaughters, forged an instant, fragile pact. "Yes," Brooke breathed, the single syllable thick with emotion. "Absolutely. United." It was a ceasefire born of necessity, a temporary alliance on the battlefield of grief, yet the sincerity in that moment was undeniable. The path forward, for Steffi and Hope's sake, demanded it. While relief washed over Bill's penthouse and a tentative truce formed at Forrester, a different storm raged in a smaller office down the hall. Will Spencer, young and bearing the Spencer intensity like an ill-fitting inheritance, listened as Electra Forrester vented her frustrations, her colorful vitriol directed at the absent Luna. His mind, however, was a million miles away, trapped in the dark prognosis shadowing his half-brother. Katie Logan's arrival brought not solace, but confirmation of the grim reality he was trying desperately to outrun. "Liam survived the shooting," Katie said gently, her own heart breaking for both her son and the brother he idolized, "but the tumor. Will, honey, the doctors, they don't think."